chair is broken.
Oh, this one is totally, like, I don't know, it's strange.
I'm gonna end up falling out of this chair. It's broken.
They changed the headphones over here.
What do you mean?
They're not the same. They're different.
I'm telling you, there's... All right. Ready?
Give me a thumbs up on my phone.
The views expressed on this program
You hear that?
necessarily the
Yep.
views of
Loud and clear.
Here we go.
You are listening. You are li- You are listening.
Welcome, everybody, to Off the Cuff. I am Adam Banks, broadcasting live from Lexington, Kentucky. Thank you for listening to the show, and thank you for tuning in to WLXU 93.9 LPFM Lexington. If you are joining us for the first time, this is Lexington's newest talk radio show that brings you nothing but jam-packed entertainment, talking about hot topics in today's world, both locally and globally. So, happy to have you here, and welcome to the party. All right, we're having some technical difficulties here in the studio, Amber. It's frustrating.
I can see the frustration on your face.
I hate it when things come up and things don't work. When things that are supposed to happen exactly the way I want it don't happen. It irritates me.
It's going to be fine, though.
It is going to be fine. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are just now joining us, I'm on Facebook Live, so you can tune into the Facebook Live. You can ask us questions, comment on the show, whatever you want to do. Thank you for tuning in. Or you can also download the WLXU app on your smartphone device, or tune to your local radio station, 93.9 here in Lexington, and listen to the show. I had everything queued up. I had such a good intro prepared for this episode, and it's not working. It's irritating the bejesus out of me. But I was wanting to come into Monday Night Raw theme music because I wanted to start the show talking about Monday Night Raw, Amber. If you grew up in the 90s, you might have been blessed to have Monday Night Raw on your television set, because that was the absolute best era in wrestling. Was 1996 to about 2004.
Yeah.
I'd say was really when it was the best of the best. Now, I went and watched wrestling Monday Night Raw here in Lexington at Rupp Arena. They didn't say it was at Rupp Arena. They said it was at the University of Kentucky, which was weird. There was probably like 20 Kentucky students there. But yeah, the arena was Rupp Arena. It had been 20 years since I had watched a wrestling event.
Now, where did you watch them 20 years ago?
20 years ago, it was 1999, in the heart of the Attitude Era. And I went with my friend Ryan Mullins.
Okay.
And a couple other people. That's really the person that stands up to me the most of going to that event. Oh, my buddy Dale.
Okay.
Corey Mosley.
Okay.
And it was Michael Hall and his son Tyler Hall. That is who that's a motley crew right there.
That's a crowd.
But we sat in the rafters back in '99, and
but it didn't matter where you sit back then.
It did not matter, because that was still to this date the best event that I had ever went to in my entire life. So Monday nights, Amber, you don't understand. It used to be the highlight of my week.
Oh, I did understand, because Tuesday morning for you was hype.
Yeah, Tuesday morning was the best time in the world, because you got to go to school and you could talk about what happened the next day, what happened the night before on Raw. And it was absolutely amazing. So this time was a little bit different. This time, 2019, the product is, I'm going to go ahead and say it's bad.
But your videos looked really it looked like a lot of fun.
The production value, without question, it's some of the best production value I've ever seen. They've stepped up their production, I feel like. It's more colorful. They can make it look like a lot of people's there when there's not really a lot of people there. They actually closed off the upper arena of Rupp Arena, and it made it look like, it created an illusion like the arena was full, yes.
Okay.
But it was fun. Went with some buddies to that event. Chad Rainwater, Zach Kahn, and Matt Renfro, all from Nicholasville.
Also sounds like a crowd.
Also another motley crew. All from Nicholasville. It's odd. I've never met a person from Nicholasville I haven't liked. So shout out to the listeners in Nicholasville. Don't break the streak. If I meet you, I'm going to have to like you, because I've yet to meet someone from Nicholasville I have liked. But it was a little different 20 years later, but it was still fun. And what was so fun about it is wrestling, the event of wrestling is different. It's not a basketball game, a football game. It's unlike any event that you can go and see. It's a place where I feel like it's a community. And people are getting along. People they pick their sides. They have their favorite wrestlers. The majority of the people in the audience were wearing shirts of old school wrestlers, kind of like the one I've got on now, the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yep.
Yeah, they were wearing, I saw Terry Funk shirts, I saw Mick Foley shirts, I saw Hogan shirts, Macho Man, Ric Flair. I seen them all. And it just goes to show that the product back in the 90s and the late 80s, there was nothing that can compare to it.
Well, I guess, what do you think is the biggest difference between now and, we'll say, maybe 2000?
Oh, it's the PG era. Back in the 90s, they used to target that show, Monday Night Raw, for adults.
Yes.
Okay? And you probably, thinking back on your childhood, did you ever watch wrestling?
Oh, my grandfather, Monday nights, 9 to 11.
Yeah.
Don't talk, don't call.
There you go.
No.
There you go. Your grandpa.
Yep, my grandpa.
Your grandpa watched it. Grandpas today ain't watching wrestling.
No, grandpas today are not watching wrestling.
No, dads today aren't watching wrestling. It was those people back in the day that was watching it. Back then, as a kid, you used to have to sneak off and watch Monday Night Raw.
Because those storylines, man.
Oh,
the storylines.
It was so
insane.
It was so insane. I'll never forget the first time I ever watched Monday Night Raw. It was 1996, so I would have been 8 years old. 8 years old. And you remember back in the 90s how great it was to get a TV in your room?
Oh, that was the best feeling in the world.
Well, I hadn't got a TV in my room yet, but my sister did. And I remember going into her room and watching TV when she wasn't in there. And I remember flipping on the USA Network Monday Night Raw for the very first time. And I still to this day remember what the topic was. It was Austin's got a gun, or Pillman's got a gun. It was when Brian Pillman pulled a gun on Stone Cold Steve Austin and tried to shoot him because Stone Cold was trying to break into his house. And that was just such a rush to watch that. Something I couldn't believe I was seeing something like that live on TV. And there was always that question out there: is it real? Is it fake?
How much of it is real and how much was fake?
How much was it? Yeah. And I just remember thinking that Stone Cold was the baddest SOB on the planet.
And he was.
And he was.
And the man done it all wearing jean shorts.
Ha! He did. And he was the only man in the universe, still to this day, that could pull off a fanny pack.
He pulled off not only a fanny pack, but this man's out there in combat boots and like tight Levi's. Just rolling around with people, and it was always random people.
And he was good
visitors that came to the show, and
he was just good old country folk. He was from Texas, just a country guy from Texas. Wore them tight jeans, wore them black boots, nothing fancy. Drank beer, chewed tobacco. He was just your common guy, and he was that McMahon Austin feud is what catapulted the wrestling business into the stratosphere.
Oh, yes. And then you start adding in those storylines. You know, Triple H was my absolute favorite.
Yeah.
And the only thing I think about is Triple H and Stephanie McMahon getting married in the drive-thru of Las Vegas. That was one of my favorites.
In the drive-thru of Las Vegas. That was in 2000. I remember that because Triple H ended up meeting Stephanie through that storyline and eventually... in real life, fell in love with her, and look at where he's at today. Yeah, the product's a little different today. Going there, it was still fun because of just the nostalgic of going to Monday Night Raw, going to wrestling. It was still a lot of fun, but it's just different. I didn't recognize hardly anybody there. The only person, you know who I jumped out of my skin for?
Who?
Was Shane McMahon. Yeah,
I loved him.
Shane McMahon's music hit, and I jumped up. And it was so natural. I kind of felt embarrassed after I did it. I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm jumping up this much.
No, why would you not? I mean, he was iconic in our childhood.
Yeah.
Why would you not jump up?
Right.
I would
And
have judged you if you would have jumped.
here comes the money. Yo, here we go. Here comes the money. Money. And he comes out and he's dancing. It's great stuff.
Did he have a suit on?
No. See, Shane, no. And see, back in the day...
He would have came out with a suit on.
He was more corporate, Shane McMahon. He was the son of Vince. But yeah, he came out now. Shane's got a new image where he wears tennis shoes. He's got his own apparel, so he wears his own shirts. But yeah, I didn't recognize hardly anybody there. Rey Mysterio was the main event. So
I feel like he was coming on the scene like as I was like leaving and like not watching anymore.
Very much true, and it could have been worse. They could have had women headline the main event, and well, listen, the Women's Revolution.
Look, if Sable would have been up there, you would not be complaining right now.
Absolutely not. But see, let me just explain myself with that. The Women's Revolution, I'm not a big fan of in wrestling, and I'm not saying that women can't be wrestlers, but they tried it at WrestleMania. They had a main event featuring women. And it was boring. It might have been the worst WrestleMania match I've ever seen.
Well, I guess when I think women in wrestling, I do think Sable, I think Trish Stratus, I think Chyna, and who do we have now? We've got the Bella Twins. Ain't that their names? They're terrible.
Yeah, you got the Bella Twins. You got Sasha Banks. You got Ric Flair's daughter. I mean, they're okay, but the divas back then, even though
they just exuded like
sexiness
and aura about them.
Yes, I mean, when you had Sable coming out and Jackie and Ivory and
wait, what was Goldust's wife?
Terry Reynolds. Yeah,
okay.
Terry Reynolds, and she eventually, I think she started off as Marlena.
Marlena, that was her name.
But she transitioned into Terry Reynolds. But yeah, even though that they wasn't as athletic, and the women today are athletic, but back then they were more just diva-ish.
Exactly. They were a lot of arm candy. Chyna was the exception to that rule. She was just mean.
She was mean, and people discredit Chyna all the time, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a women's revolution, but look at what Chyna was doing in the 90s when there was no women's revolution. She won the Intercontinental Championship.
Is she not the only? She was the first woman I know to win that.
To win it, I don't think there's ever been another Intercontinental Women Champion. She entered the 1999 Royal Rumble, the first female to ever win the Royal Rumble. She also headlined, I don't think she headlined, I think the first woman to ever headline Raw was Lita, which was an athletic girl. Lita was nice. But wrestling was just it was so much fun back in the day. You had Stone Cold, you had The Rock, you had The Undertaker, you had Mick Foley, all in their absolute prime. And now today, it's completely different. And part of the reason is because Vince McMahon, he stepped down from running things. He's still very much a part of it, but he's not as in your face as what he used to be.
Well, and I think it made it hot because you've got this man who's supposed to be a CEO, and he's coming out here, you know, trying to not get stone cold stunned in the middle of this ring, but yet throwing a microphone at somebody.
I do think that the competition helped wrestling back in the day when you had WCW versus WWF Monday nights.
Oh, that was insane.
Your thumb was sore because you had to flip back and forth.
You had to, because Sting was on WCW.
Sting was on WCW.
I love Sting.
Yeah.
And there my poor papa would be, just back and forth
Back and
on
forth.
channels.
Oh, absolutely. When I used to stay on out with Gregory, when I used to stay on out with Gregory, his dad used to watch WCW, and that's when I really got introduced to that world, because that was a different world in itself. You had, you know, the NWO, and you had Goldberg. But the competition helped, and I think that's what the WWE needs today, is it needs more competition. And there is another organization coming up called AEW, All Elite Wrestling. And they will be debuting May the 25th with a pay-per-view.
Okay.
And they are going to be trying to give the WWE a run for their money. They've already signed some top talent like Jim Ross, the greatest play-by-play guy in the entire wrestling business.
Oh, okay.
They've got Chris Jericho. So they've made moves.
Walls of Jericho?
The Walls of Jericho. Absolutely loved it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back with some more Off the Cuff. You are listening to 93.9 LPFM Lexington. Why in the hell is my
Originally opened in
thing not
1948,
working?
the Lyric was a thriving entertainment centerpiece for Lexington's African American families. They quickly became a cultural icon.
Is it plugged into the main box? Like, just make sure.
In 1963, the Lyric Theater and Cultural Arts Center is dedicated to honoring its past while maintaining a strong vision for the future development of the greater Lexington community. As an organization, we thrive to celebrate diverse cultures through our programming and outreach. Nestled on the historic corner of East 3rd and Elm Tree Lane, Lexington's reigning crown jewel awaits you. More at Lexington Lyric.
I can't believe that.
Reach you. You got it. You fix everything.
Lexington Community Radio has the support of El Mundo Bluegrass, a Spanish-language newspaper whose mission is to unite the Latino community and the community at large with news from Kentucky and around the world, now with articles in English. El Mundo Bluegrass may be picked up at local stores and businesses. To learn more, you can call 859-270-8083 or visit elmundobluegrass.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. The technical difficulties here in the studio is fixed. Amber, do you want to hear the riff that I was going to play
I would love to hear that riff.
at the beginning of the show? Yeah, let me play that for you. I had this queued up for you guys at the beginning of the show to talk about wrestling.
That would have been so hyped to come in after, too.
Do you remember that?
I remember that. Like it was yesterday.
You had
And when you heard that, you would run. I miss running to the TV to watch things.
You had the iconic Jim Ross on there. Welcome everybody to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We're in a jam-packed house of 30,000 people. That was a horrible Jim Ross impersonation.
That was a horrible.
But that's what you used to hear.
And it was like, it was a competition between how loud the music was and how loud he would talk. That's what I remember. Is I feel like if the music got a little louder, he talked a little louder.
It was so much fun, and that music just brings back so many memories. Loved it. The 90s was a great time to be alive, Amber.
The 90s was a great time to be alive.
The 90s was a great time to be alive. But you know what else I like about the 90s, Amber?
What?
It's the music.
The music.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a musical break and listen to some DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince with I Think I Can Beat Mike. Could not get that to work.
You handled it so well. You handled it so well. Don't even fret, dude. You done so good.
Sorry about that, guys. Technical difficulties in the studio. Let's see what we got here on the. I like these live showings. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks and Amber here with you. That was DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince with I Think I Can Beat Mike Tyson. A lot of hate on the live stream. People saying they don't like the music. I don't understand it. Don't understand it. That's good. That's good music.
That was a good chill song.
It was
just chill.
Roll down the windows, listen to the music, enjoy the fresh air. It's actually not fresh air if you're in Lexington right now. It's raining.
That's true.
But life in the 90s, that was just one of the many few things that you had in the 90s was the music. But Amber, the 90s was a great time to be alive. You had wrestling, you had great music, you had an era where there was no cell phones and social media.
There was no social media.
No,
None.
You had to actually communicate at the dinner table with the people that you were sitting with.
Dude, think about all the communications that, people, the younger generations that we know that are in school right now, okay, I'm trying to think of how I want to put this. We see that they're constantly on their phones, and it's like when we were going through grade school, it was like if you were in a feud with somebody, you had to physically look at them.
Yeah.
That altercation took place live. It was not over a text.
Or what I liked about it was when you wanted to call the person that you liked, or if you wanted to ask the person out on a date that you liked. Kids today, teenagers today, they can text,
Snapchat it.
They can Snapchat it. There's so many different ways that they can communicate with the person. Back when we were in school, you actually physically had to go up and ask them out, or you had to give them a call. And I'll never forget when it was time for me to do it. There was a girl that I had a major crush on, and I went to, and don't be dropping no names on the air, because
not gonna do it.
You probably know a lot of them.
Oh, I do.
But it was a girl I had a major crush on, and I just remember several times picking up the phone, and when you got their number, that was one thing.
Oh, getting the number was one thing, but it was you dial all the numbers and just not hit the last one, just hang up.
You would just hang up. Well, here's what I would do. I actually dialed the number. I would call, and then I would let them pick up, and then I would hang up really quick.
Why did you do that?
I hung up because I got nervous, because it was just such a big deal. I don't know what it was. I guess it was just the fear of speaking on the phone. I honestly don't know what it was. But I remember calling the girl that I liked, and you always had to worry about somebody besides them answering. Is their mom going to answer, their dad, their brother? And most of the time, it was usually somebody else.
And they always asked you, what's your name and what do you need?
Yeah, why are you asking me that? It ain't none of your business.
I don't even know what to tell you right now. You don't, let me speak to who I called to speak to.
Yeah. But people were nosy. But now, as an adult, I kind of understand
I get it
why
now.
parents were wondering, well, who's calling? May I ask who's calling? You want to know who's calling your kid.
Yeah.
So, but that was fearful back then. Nobody knows that struggle. The struggle was real. And you used to be able to, back when home phones existed, you used to be able to spy on your sibling. You used to be able to pick up the phone and listen to what they were saying.
Oh my gosh. I got my brother one good time with that, and I am pretty sure he almost beat me to death. He caught me.
He caught you.
He caught me. I was not stealthy as a child. I was not slick.
There was so much in the 90s, though. There was so much that you could do back then that you can't necessarily do today. One of the things that you could do back in the 90s was you could actually go and get your pictures developed. Now, yeah, you can do that today. You can get your pictures developed.
But it's kind of weird when people do it now.
But used to, that's all you had to do that in order to get photos.
You had a disposable camera. Remember the last day of school, everybody would bring a disposable camera.
Yeah, and take pictures.
Well, I don't know why we done that.
Oh.
We were going to see each other in a couple of months anyway.
Oh, that last day of school, though. That feeling is unmatched.
Oh, that bus ride home.
That
on the last
feeling,
day of school.
I don't know. I never did get excited about going to school, but that last day of school, I was up, had my breakfast.
Yep.
That was
ready to roll.
I was ready to roll. Getting home from school and getting to watch music on MTV, because used to, folks, there used to be music on MTV. Do you remember TRL?
I actually called into TRL.
You did not.
I did call into TRL in the 8th grade, and I requested Vanessa Carlton's 1,000 Miles. And, you used to have to put like a little caption there, like, hey, why are you, requesting this song? And all I wrote was, I love you, Ike. And I requested that song, and it popped up.
Well, now you have to text people in order to get a message across. Back in the 90s, no, you wrote letters. Do you remember how fun it was to write letters to the people that you liked? And you would ask them if they liked you, and if they did, they could check yes, no, and sometimes you could put the maybe box.
Well,
I got a few maybes.
It was always weird how the letters would go, and tell me if these are how yours would go, but like if you're writing to somebody, it was always like, hey, what's up? Not much here. How you been? And it was like, dude, we just talked in the last period. Man, nothing has changed since astronomy.
When you wrote that really important letter, though, asking them out or telling them that you like them. Oh,
that was terrible.
The feeling that you have, the anticipation that you have of getting that letter back to see what they say back. And sometimes you get a surprise. You think they're going to say, no, I'm not interested. And then they
say yes.
They're like, I feel the same way.
But what was always bad is when you would look down the hallway and you would physically see them open the letter. That's almost as bad as a read receipt. Oh no.
Or they read your letter and they don't respond at all.
And everything's awkward.
And everything's awkward.
Or they throw it away. Or they show it to people. and then somebody's like, "Hey, I seen your letter," and I'm like, "Oh gosh."
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with more Off the Cuff.
Hey everybody, this is John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper, and you're listening to 94.
It's the Crypt Keeper.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Community Radio.
He's on my voicemail. That is ballin'.
Hi, this is Debbie Cole. I invite you to
Hi, Debbie Cole.
Conversations Around the Table, Tuesdays from 6 p.m.
That
to
was
7
cool.
p.m. on WLXU
That was cool.
FM, Lexington Community Radio.
Hi, this is Bethany Hicks, and I'm from
My next topic is
at Bethany Hicks State Farm. We focus on helping our neighbors here in Lexington with insurance for health and life, as well as car and home. To learn more, you can call 859-264-0246 or visit
Dude, I am digging all the people talking on here. I am digging
Here we
it.
go. Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. Amber is also here in the studio with me as well. 30 minutes has already passed.
It doesn't seem like that.
It flies by.
It flies by.
They need to put us on every day.
I think time flies when you're having fun.
Time flies when you are having fun. Well, Amber, did you get a chance to watch the NFL draft?
I watched it because of you.
Well, if there was ever a time to watch the NFL draft, it was this year because history was made. The Kentucky Wildcats had several people go into the draft. The NFL draft is just interesting in general. It is a 3-day event. There was a record 600,000 people that showed up to pack the streets of Nashville because people show up. People show up to that event just like it's a concert to watch their favorite team call out their draft pick. Some fans make this an annual trip. Some guys go as an annual trip for their guys trip. That's their annual guys trip is the NFL draft.
That'd be cool, though.
It is. Remember we talked about last week that it could rain? Well, it did. There was some rain. And unfortunately, that slowed things down a little, but it didn't stop the party completely. A lot of people were drafted from UK. Josh Allen, of course, went number 7 overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Lonnie Johnson, number 52, second round to the Houston Texans. Mike Edwards, number 99 in the draft, which is round 3, went to Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Benny Snell Jr., 4th round, Pittsburgh Steelers, number 122 in the draft. That's the 4th round. And you also had a guy who surprised everybody. And forgive me if I butcher his name. George Asafo went number 232, which is a 7th round draft pick. He went to the New York Giants. What's the commonality that I find in all of these guys is how rich that they all are now.
Oh, yeah.
Their signing bonuses. Now, in the NFL, your contract it's not guaranteed, but you do get a signing bonus that is guaranteed.
So do you get that like instantaneously? Like, you know, that night I'm assuming they probably sign a contract and you automatically get like the sign-on bonus, or?
I'm not really sure how it works. I'm not sure like if Mike Edwards logged onto usbank.com, he's seen
the deposit.
He's seen $800,000. But no, that's how much he got. He got Mike Edwards, who went number 99, got $822,000 sign-on
and that's
bonus.
just a sign-on bonus, right? It's not like his actual
No,
salary.
it's not his actual salary. If you're talking about his actual salary, it's $3.3 million over 4 years. And that's 3rd round. You had people like Lonnie Johnson, who has a total valued contract at $5.2 million.
Wow.
Then you got people like Benny Snell, who went 4th round, mind you, and had a sign-on bonus of $702,000 and signed a $3.2 million contract over 4 years. That is absolutely unreal to be that young and have that much money so instant.
And I'm pretty sure I read Benny Snell actually signed on with Under Armour.
He did. And that's another way that you can make money is your endorsements, your deals.
Now, can you instantly start doing those?
Oh, yeah. See,
Okay.
you're no longer a part of the NCAA, and that's
Okay.
what keeps people down. That's a whole nother show topic,
Yeah.
is getting on the topic whether or not college athletes should be paid. They can't be. Should they be? Yes, probably, but that's a whole nother show. But, yes, now that they are in the NFL, hey, it's free game. They
Okay.
can do whatever they want. And here you got Benny Snell. You got Benny Snell, who is already doing deals with
I feel like that deal came out like
Under Armour.
almost instantly.
Yeah, and Under Armour's already got some big names. They got Steph Curry. They've got a bunch of people. So the NFL also had a free agency. Now the free agency starts after the draft. After everybody is announced in the draft, all 7 rounds is done. There's something called the NFL Draft Undrafted, which is the free agency. That's where
So does that mean like you weren't drafted in the original draft?
you wasn't drafted in the original
Okay.
draft, but you still have an opportunity to go to a camp and try out for the team.
Okay.
Chris Westry reportedly signed with the Dallas Cowboys. He is guaranteed $100,000 from the Cowboys and had a $10,000 signing bonus. Do you see how small
Yeah,
the money
there's a
gets?
big difference between the two. But I mean, he still got something.
Dorian-
To do something he liked.
Dorian Baker was another one that signed on with the team. I was surprised to see Dorian Baker actually picked up. Dorian Baker has dropped more balls than Dick Clark on New Year's Eve. It is insane of how many balls he's dropped. But he tweets out that he is going to the Cleveland Browns. C.J. Conrad signed with the New York Giants. Bunchy Stallings signed with the Jaguars, which means he's going to be joining Josh Allen. That has to be nice to...
That would be super, like, that would almost be comforting
Yeah.
to know you're going into it.
Yeah, to sign with some team that you already know somebody there.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's nice. Darius West, he signed with the Kansas City Chiefs, and Derek Beatty signed with the Houston Texans. Now, they still have to, and that means that he's going to be joining Lonnie.
So all of those people went in the free agency draft? That's a lot of people.
Yeah, but here's the thing about the free agency draft. It's, a lot of people, I don't want to undermine it, because a lot of people have went in the free agency draft and went on to do big things. You had people like James Harrison, Warren Moon, Antonio Gates, Kurt Warner, Tony Romo, Rod Smith, just to name a few. But they all went on to do bigger and better things after their draft. They ended up signing big contracts with guaranteed money. But it's a little bit more difficult.
Well, I mean, you can see from the get-go, I mean, the monetary value is significantly different. I just wonder if that ever, like, creates, like, animosity once they're on the team because they know they're significantly, like, their pay is significantly less than everybody around them, and they might actually be doing the exact same amount of work.
Yeah. I mean, it makes them feel some type of way. It's just like just common folk that work just blue-collar jobs. You might work harder than somebody, but they're getting paid 10 times more than you, and their job's easier. It makes no sense, but it's just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess you could say. But, yes, all these guys, good luck to them. I think that a lot of them could make an NFL team. And congratulations to the ones that did. And I just can't believe how much money that they're going to be making. I hope they're smart with it. I hope they invest smartly. I hope that they make good decisions. Keep your nest egg. Money is easy to spend when you got
But
it.
it is easy. It's not easy to get back
No.
sometimes.
Oh, not at all.
Not that amount of money, anyways.
No. So congratulations. UK had a lot of players leave. So it's going to be something to see how the team ends up next season, because a lot of people left for the draft and a lot of people we're not going to have anymore. So I hope Mark Stoops can pull it off. I've given Mark Stoops a lot of trash talk over the years on the podcast, but he did do
This
well.
past season was good.
With the development of all these players, it speaks for itself. So, Mark, I can't get on the radio and bash your performance at UK. I have before, but I'm going to stop. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, my man. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Amber, a lot has been going on in the world. A lot. A lot of unnecessary things. A lot of disgusting things. Have you heard...
Things that just make you say,
Have you heard about the teacher who was... he was suspended without pay for apparently hiding a video camera in the nurse's station, watching students change clothes.
He put it in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
He put it in the bathroom. And
Of the nurse's station.
I just don't understand. My man, if you're going to do something like this, don't turn the camera on your face.
Yeah, and he got caught because when he was setting up the camera, he got caught. Yeah, it's ridiculous. 53 years old. His career's over.
That's so gross. I don't get it. I don't understand. You know what? I'm 30. I'll be 31 years old. I do not find anybody under the age of 25 even remotely attractive. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, what gets me is who wants to sit there and watch somebody change clothes? Who gets turned on by that?
Dude, if you watch me change clothes, man, I'm fighting with my jeans. Like, I'm falling in the floor.
And another thing is sometimes people get turned on by watching other people use the bathroom.
Oh, you do not want to watch me use the bathroom.
I mean, you don't want to watch me use the bathroom either.
That's so gross.
I mean, I think it's there's a lot of weird fetishes out there.
Weird people.
But I do think that in light of everything that's happened, we really do need to take who we put in the public educational system, we need to take that a little bit more serious. I don't know what needs to come of this, but we need to have more extensive background searches.
Background searches, and it brings up a topic that I won't spend any time on, but it goes back to, your educators, you are with us in our formative years. Please don't break the trust that we already give you. Like, we're young, we're innocent, we're giving you all of our trust. Don't break us down in the classrooms. Don't break us down in front of our peers. And please don't watch us get naked.
And don't watch us use the bathroom.
Don't watch me go to the bathroom.
And teachers are the people that we're supposed to be able to trust, confide in, especially public school teachers when you are a minor, when you are a child. It's ridiculous.
Don't look at somebody and say they're only going to get a low proficient.
Yeah.
Because you were going to break down their pride.
Yeah. Which I swear to you, I had a teacher tell me that one time.
You had somebody tell you were only going to be a low proficient?
Yeah, I did in school. She looked directly at me. Okay, you want me to get on this story?
I think it's time.
Okay. So when I was in grade school, I had a teacher sit me down, and she was, I guess, aggravated because I was a student in school that liked to
Dude, Adam was so hype when we were growing up.
I was hyper,
Like, he was just very hyper.
Yeah, and I used to get up out of my seat a lot. I used to run around. I used to
make wrestling noises
all the time. And I just remember there was this one particular teacher that I had that
she just didn't like you.
No, she was not fond of me. And I remember it was around CATS testing, and that's the last test that you take at the end of your school year.
And our school put a lot of emphasis on this, so you should know, like, a lot of emphasis was put on this test.
And this teacher was getting upset because I guess I wasn't taking the test as serious as what they thought. But I was listening. I just listened in my own way. And I remember that teacher looked at me and she said, Adam, if you try on this test, you might be able to get a low proficient. And I remember that breaking my spirits down so hard because I thought I was somebody that was considered smart.
Yep.
I considered myself a smart kid. But she broke me down and told me I was going to, if I really applied myself and really tried, I could get a low proficient. So teachers will break you down, man. I hate it when teachers break you down. Teachers will never remember, or let me say that over. Students will never remember what you taught them, but they will always remember how you made them feel.
They will. And shout out to Kelly Hall. I'm going to shout Kelly Hall out.
Oh,
one of the best teachers I have ever had to date.
Well, one of his, Kelly Hall was a great teacher. I remember Kelly Hall. He said to me one time, if you can't impress them with your brilliance, baffle them with bull.
Baffle them with bull.
And still to this day, I do that.
So, I don't know. I mean, I feel like when I think back on our, elementary experience, I remember some of the guidance that they gave us as opposed to the actual material.
For the most part, we had pretty outstanding teachers.
Oh, we did. I mean, love Kelly, Teresa. I mean, we had some people who went to bat for us, but then we had some people who didn't go to bat for us.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. And, we bring that up because if you decide to go into public education, if you're sitting at home and you're thinking about doing that as a career, make sure you're in it for the right reasons. Don't do it for the money. Don't do it for the summers off. Do it because you really want to make a difference in children's lives. And don't do it if you're a pervert, because you're going to get caught.
You're going to get caught.
And you're disgusting if you are attracted to little kids.
Oh, God.
It is gross. Very gross. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take another commercial break. We will be back with our last segment here on Off the Cuff.
had to. I had to take it.
Well, that segment went completely different than what I planned it.
Take it. I'm sorry. You gave me an opening.
In the state to offer float tank therapy, which is proven by Justin Feinstein, PhD, to balance, enhance, and support a healthy lifestyle. To learn more or schedule an appointment, call
Dude, we should go to the float tank.
539-2097 or visit us on the web at sourceonhigh.com. Thank you.
Every donation to Lexington Community Radio makes a difference. Many of our donors tell us they wish they could give more. If you're looking to get rid of a vehicle but don't want the hassle of selling it or fixing it, consider donating it to Lexington Community Radio. Donating your car is a fast, safe, and easy way to support the programming you value. Make a difference by donating your unwanted vehicle. Just go to lexingtoncommunityradio.org.
I'll tell you, we get in the car.
Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you in the studio. Amber is also here, too. Last segment of the hour here on Off the Cuff. So many crazy things happening in the world, Amber. So many insane things. And right here in Kentucky it happens. Did you hear about the young man who was stabbed for apparently not giving his friend a pinch of dip?
A pinch of skull.
A pinch of skull. Now, I understand, a pinch of skull, you gotta have it, It's, some people are addicted to it like they are cigarettes, like they are caffeine, and there's probably, I don't dip. And I think but no hate on people who do.
Nope.
I just can't do it. It's just not for me. But
I did try it once.
I understand. I understand that the people. Oh gosh, I did too. I hated it. I thought I would like it, but I didn't. But I understand the people that do. There's probably nothing like just putting in a dipski for your lipski when you're.
Wait, what did you just say?
Dipski for your lipski. There's
Okay.
probably nothing like putting in a dipski for your lipski when you're watching a basketball game or any type of sporting event or going through a stressful time. So I understand why people, when they want to dip, they want it now. But to stab somebody over it,
That's a little bit much.
I mean, it's
It's a little bit much.
It is bad. But the student from Pulaski County, he gets stabbed in the bathroom because the guy didn't give him a pinch of dip. And if you guys don't know where Pulaski County is, it is in Somerset. And the kid who got stabbed was 18 years old. His name was Daniel Wilson. He was released from the hospital.
Yep, they airlifted him to UK just for precautionary reasons. And I think he was actually back at school today. I mean, so kudos to him, because I'd probably be like, I'm not going back there.
But it's so juvenile when you think about why people back in school used to fight over the silliest things. Do you remember fights back in the day?
Like skipping the line?
Like skipping the line. But fights back in the day it was funny because when we were in school and fights would break out, we used to not run from the fights.
No, we ran towards.
We used to run towards the fights.
But we never thought about, like, physically, honestly hurting one another. Like,
You can speak for yourself, but I think people did.
I don't think that anybody we grew up with was like, hey man, I'm going to bring a knife to school today.
No.
I'm going to stab you.
Oh, I
and
see.
Give me some skulls.
I see what you're saying. It wasn't like they were trying to hurt them as far as stab them. They were just
No.
going to give them a good old whooping.
Yeah, you was going to get a good beaver whooping.
You were going to get a good Knott County whooping. And I'll tell you, people, it sounds silly that they were fighting over dip, but that happens.
People fight over silly things even as adults.
20 years ago when I was in school, it was happening. I remember this kid, and it makes me laugh now. He wanted to physically whoop me, is what he said. He wanted to whoop me because I wouldn't let him borrow a pencil. And I remember him coming up and said, "Buddy, you better give me that pencil. I'm going to whoop you. You better give me that pencil or I'm going to whoop you." And I was like, "You're going to whoop me over not giving you a pencil?"
But what was always fun was when, like, they wanted to bring other people in. When they wanted to, like, I'll bring my whole crew.
Oh,
my whole crew going to get
Buddy,
you.
I'll bring Pooh Bear, Polar Bear, I'll bring Smiley, I'll bring the whole crew. And I'm just like, oh gosh.
And you're just like, okay.
Yeah, people would. They would bring in the whole entire crew to fight you or whoop you.
Whoop you.
It was
Everybody was going to get whooped.
Everybody was always getting whooped.
Or
over school.
I'm going to set you on fire.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting set on fire.
Who said set you on fire?
I set your head on fire.
No, I remember they said they were going to beat the far out of you.
I remember somebody saying, I'm going to set your head on fire. And I was like, okay.
The thing, yeah. But, you know, growing up where we did, you did learn how to fight.
You learned how to fight. That is one thing. You learned how to take care of yourself.
You had to. And
It was impoverished. I mean, we had to. We had to.
Yeah, and sometimes when I hear stories like this of the kid got into an altercation because of school, that stuff was happening 20, 25 years ago too.
It was.
People were getting whooped because they wouldn't give somebody a pencil to borrow.
Yep.
And, I mean, but the fights, what was probably your most memorable fight you have ever seen?
Ooh.
Without naming names.
Most memorable fight would probably be one. I mean, are we talking grade school or high school? 'Cause
I
I think most
of your
memorable
life.
is going to be high school.
Of your life.
There was a girl I'm still really, really good friends with this girl, and
So it was a girl fight.
it was a girl fight. Girl fights were always nasty, and
I feel like I've seen more girl fights than boy fights.
And you know, there was something about a younger gentleman that was involved, and all I know is you remember Fruitopia? Those drinks we could get, like, they were really big, like in
they were
the late
gross.
90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
They were not gross. They were awesome. Peach Pawpaw was awesome. But the girl that my good friend was fighting with, she just flung that bottle, like, with no regard as to who it was going to hit. And I just remember once that bottle hit somebody, it was just chaos.
Well, my most memorable fight, actually, I don't know. There's a lot of memorable fights.
Oh,
of
man.
course, yeah. We're
thinking of the same one.
We're thinking of the same fight. Well, let me go ahead and talk about it. It was in the lunchroom. And in the lunchroom cafeteria, when people go and they get their food, I remember seeing a fight. I remember seeing this guy walk in with a purpose. And with one punch, he knocked out two guys. And more guys jumped in to help these two guys that just got knocked down, and he knocked them down with another punch. He was the quietest, chillest person that I'd ever seen.
Super nice, too.
But don't tick him off.
No, don't mess with him.
And apparently somebody ticked him off, and he went in and knocked them both out. But fights were brutal. And
I just remember being mad because I think they knocked over the cart that held the fries. I think I was mad because of that.
And you were excited to get some
fries.
fries.
Dude, I was so excited to get some fries, man.
Well, Amber, what have you been up to this week? I want to give you some time before we go off the air to talk about your little event that you went to.
Went to a concert on Sunday night. Went to the Millennium Tour. Not to be confused with the Backstreet Boy Millennium Tour, I guess I should say.
Okay.
People like Chingy, Yin Yang Twins, Lloyd. Went with my best friend Heather, and it was chill. Nice drive up to Louisville. Went to the Yum Center for the first time.
I like rap concerts because rap concerts, I feel like everybody's happier. People are dancing.
Dude, I made friends with people that, like, I'll never see them again, but in that moment, like, we were all getting low. We were all getting low. Like, we were all... But I will say, you know, my age showed a lot while I was there, because I think by about, like, the third or fourth time of getting low, I just got out, because I had to sit down. I was like, nah, I'm done. But no, dude, like, it was... The atmosphere at a rap concert is so different than any other concert I've ever been to. But it was a lot of fun. It was. B2K was the headliners. So when Bump 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 came on, of course, you know, I thought I was back like sophomore year high school.
That's a good time. All right, let's go to the Facebook Live here. I'm going to read some comments just to see what everybody's doing. Crazy Kathy says, love your show. Thank you, Kathy. Let's see. She says, I love your co-anchor, Adam. She sounds like loads of fun.
Hey, thank you.
She says, nothing like a beaver whooping.
Nothing like a beaver whooping.
Wade says, now they shoot and stab. That's why they run. That's very true. Ugh. Ryan says, me and Kevin Hughes have to hold the beaver record for the most fights.
Okay, Marv, we're going to need to hear all the details.
Yeah, that's for another show. Let's see, we got, who else is saying some stuff? We got Anna Canasser, awesome job, buddy. Thank you, Ann, for listening. And so many people that Jennifer Wood, thank you. Lucas Mans. And then we have a phone call. Should we take the phone call right before we go?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and take the call. All right, and you know, this is like my worst thing to do is like put people on the air. So let's see if I can figure out how to do this. Are you there? Are you on the show? Baby Bash, how are you doing, my man? How is everything rocking and rolling in Bath County? Well, that's why you got to download the app, Bash. You got to download that little app on your smartphone, WLXU 93.9, and you'll be able to listen anywhere in the entire world. Man, I really do appreciate that. Have you liked the show so far? Have you got a chance to listen to all of it? Dude, that means more than you will know. I really do appreciate you calling in.
Hey, Baby Bash. Thank you.
Bash, I hear that little youngin' crying in the background. How's he doing? Oh, we were just talking about the school bus.
We were just talking about the school bus.
Very nice. Well, Bash, thank you for giving us a call. Unfortunately, we ran out of time and we got to go, but you are now a part of Off the Cuff history for calling in. Appreciate it, buddy. I'll talk to you off the air. See you. You know, guys, it makes me feel so good when you call in and just say congratulations. It really does. And to hear the support from friends, it's great. I mean, it is.
You worked real hard, so we're all real proud of you.
I really do appreciate it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, that time has come where we have to call it quits for this week, and I feel like, knocked a lot of topics out this week, Amber.
We did.
We did. We knocked a lot of topics out. So much. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Off the Cuff. Amber, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Adam Banks. You are listening to 93.9 FM Lexington. And I will see you next week, 4 o'clock, here on Off the Cuff. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Off the Cuff. Appreciate you watching. I'm going to have to go. I'll see you next week in the next episode.